In the world of power politics, where leaders often falter, Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, or Bibi as he's affectionately called, stands tall as the boss of the political pandemonium. Right now, there's international uncertainty looming over him. His war on Gaza surpassed the 6-month mark on April 7th, and patience seems to be wearing thin amongst those around him. When Israel declared its war on Gaza on October 7, 2023, it received unwavering support from its allies and the world. The US was going to the ends of the earth for Netanyahu. Israel reportedly received the most amount of aid from the US since the Second World War, be it military supplies or any other kind of assistance. But in recent times, there's a different picture that has taken center stage. There's a widening rift between US President Joe Biden and Netanyahu. Biden has been growing increasingly frustrated with Bibi's antics. Washington has issued multiple ultimatums to its long-standing ally. The US even allowed a UN resolution on a Gaza ceasefire to pass. Netanyahu cancelled and rescheduled diplomatic meetings. This spat reached its melting point on April 1st, when 7 aid workers in Gaza were killed in an Israeli strike. Along with the US, the United Kingdom and Australia also condemned it.
Our view is long-standing that Israel has both the intention and the ability to comply with international humanitarian law. I've made that very clear to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Whenever I've spoken to him, there have been too many civilian deaths in Gaza. Of course, we want to see an immediate humanitarian pause so that we can get the hostages out and more aid into the region.
We need to have accountability for how it's occurred. And what isn't good enough is the statements that have been made, including that this is just a product of war. This is against humanitarian law. International humanitarian law makes it very clear that aid workers should be able to provide that aid and that assistance free of the threat of losing their life.
It's not just tottering ties with allies. Netanyahu is also navigating a major challenge by Israel's biggest adversary, Iran. Israel's northern border has been witnessing a near-daily exchange of fire between its forces and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel has also been bombing Hezbollah targets in Syria. Just a week ago, the Iranian consulate in Damascus was flattened in a strike. Tehran blames its foe Israel for the attack. Iran has warned Israel it will be punished.
There is, of course, an international responsibility towards this crime, and naturally, there will be an Iranian response. We are waiting for international organizations to do their duty. We asked the United Nations and the Security Council to hold a meeting tonight, and we are waiting for all member countries to do their duties towards this crime during this meeting.
But confrontation on another front is the last thing Netanyahu needs right now. His allies are antagonized with his handling of the war in Gaza. They want him to wrap it up. The people of Israel are losing faith in his leadership. And Israel's old foe Iran wants revenge. But none of these seem to deter Benjamin Netanyahu.
I made it clear to the international community, there will be no ceasefire without the return of hostages. It just won't happen. This is the policy of the Israeli government, and I welcome the fact that the Biden administration made it clear 2 days ago that this is still its position as well. I would like to clarify one more thing. Israel is not the one preventing a deal. Hamas prevents a deal. Its extreme demands were intended to bring about an end to the war and leave it intact, to ensure its survival, its rehabilitation, its ability to endanger our citizens and our soldiers.
His leadership journey began long before his foray into politics. It started on the battlefield first. The year was 1967 when he joined the Israeli Defense Forces. Rising through the ranks, he became an elite commando in the army and served as the captain during the 1973 Arab-Israeli War. He has been the country's prime minister thrice. His first taste of leadership as the premier of the country came in 1996. That's when he assumed the Prime Minister's office for the first time. Little did the world know that it would be the rise of a political survivor. Back in 2009, Netanyahu's Likud party failed to gain a majority, winning only 27 seats. They came behind the centrist Kadima party, led by Zipi Livni, which secured 28 seats and became the largest party in the Knesset. However, neither Likud nor Kadima obtained the 61-seat majority required for a government. Netanyahu lobbied with right-wing parties like Betanu and the Jewish Home Party. He secured their support and was able to form the government. Netanyahu's entire political career has been filled with trials and tribulation. He stands accused of fraud, breach of trust, and corruption. In 2019, he was indicted in multiple cases where he allegedly accepted lavish gifts, seeking favorable coverage from Israeli media. He portrayed himself as a victim of a witch hunt. Then came the 2022 election, which was essentially a repeat of 2009. Netanyahu and his allies won 64 out of the 120 seats in the parliament. Among those 64 seats, only 32 were secured by the Likud party. His opponent back then was Yair Lapid, who won 51 seats. Netanyahu again reached a coalition pact with the far right to form the government. Despite facing legal troubles and being on the brink of a political demise, Bibi has consistently managed to swim through treacherous waters. Call it luck or sheer strategy, it's something to be thought over. As history has it, Netanyahu has always defied the odds. He has been unshakable in the whirlwind of domestic as well as international politics. Last year, before the October 7th Hamas attacks, Israel witnessed at least 9 months of continued nationwide outrage. It was dubbed the Judicial Overhaul Protest. Massive street demonstrations called for Netanyahu's ouster. It was subdued thereafter when Israel declared war. 6 months on, Israelis have taken to the streets again. But this time, the context is different. They are calling for early elections. They want Netanyahu to go and are pressurizing his government to bring back Hamas-held hostages. But will it happen? The Israel-Hamas war is testing his skills. It's pushing him to the limits. Prosecutors are going ahead with his corruption trial despite the war. His chances of garnering support from allies are diminishing. His promise to bring back the hostages still seems like a far cry. On top of that is Bibi's advancing age. But despite being squeezed from multiple fronts, he shows no signs of losing his grip on power.